Hello, I'm Oscar Womack, owner of Coherent Contracts, LLC. And today our guest in the studio is Mark Masters, who is the owner of Chloeta Fire, a wildland fire suppression company. Started in 2009, Chloeta Fire has quickly become one of the most significant players in emergency wildfire response federal contracts. Mark's several industry innovations and contract accomplishments have earned him several awards, to include being named the Small Business Administration's National, and I underscore national, Young Entrepreneur of the Year for 2012. What prompted you to become an entrepreneur?
I kind of saw a need in the market for a service that was not being provided, and had an opportunity to exit federal service, move back home to Oklahoma, and start the company. I never planned on being an entrepreneur. It happened by accident.
You spent a lot of time trying to get out of helicopters the wrong way, right?
Yep. I was a federal employee for about 8 years.
Okay, now talk a little bit about what you actually did in those helicopters.
Well, what I did, and there's still guys doing this every day right now, is fly to remote fires primarily, and rappel out of the helicopter, out of the ship, 250 feet down the rope, with all the gear that you need to put that fire out. So self-sufficiency for 72 hours in terms of sleeping bags and food and chainsaws and hand tools.
To what do you attribute your success as a federal contractor?
I would attribute our success as a federal contractor to a couple things. I would attribute it to providing a service that's never been provided previously in our industry. I would attribute it to...
Can I just interrupt you?
Sure.
What do you mean when you say that? What you do has never been done before? Okay.
No, definitely not.
Explain a little bit, please.
Well, when I worked as a NIFC employee, National Emergency Fire Center, I realized that I had worked with contractors in our industry off and on over the years, operationally. I realized that there was no vendor that was taking the best of the best, the most elite firefighters in the U.S., those Tier 1 guys, smoke jumpers, hot shots, and heli-rappellers, and contracting back to the agencies.
How has sequestration and limited agency procurement budgets affected your business over the past 12 to 18 months?
One thing that we're seeing a lot with the agencies in the last 12 to 18 months is a lot more lowest price, technically acceptable LPTA contracts, which we're not in favor of at all, because often they're not the lowest price, because the highest quality, the best value is not received by the agency often. Most of our contracts are best value type contracts, and we advocate for those because we feel that that's the best deal for the American taxpayer at the end of the day, is to get the highest quality service on a trade-off with cost, and not simply just the lowest bidder.
How do you monitor your competitive standing in your particular industry? How do you keep track of where you are compared to other companies?
There's about 200 companies in our industry that do some of what we do, or try to. There's about 3 or 4 that do that provide services that are real similar to what we provide, and so we track those on a daily basis. We can tell you what contract award, for what amount, for what location, for what agency any of those companies have received.
Prior to 2009, you don't exist, and,
Sure.
and from 2009 here to 2014, you're talking about a space of 5 years.
Sure.
All of a sudden, you're significant, you're prominent within that niche.
Yeah.
So.
I think a lot of that had to do with Judy Robbins at Francis Tuttle, to be honest with you, in terms of the competitive intelligence. But
I give her high remarks.
Absolutely. What the business incubator really helped us with was financial literacy more than anything. So learning how to manage cash flow, and learning how to approach lenders, and learning how to invest in assets. Those are some of the things that the incubator and Greg and the folks there that were most helpful to us with.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your insights
Appreciate
today.
it. Thanks.